The Angel of Death. Back in the early 50s, a local musician named Isaac Eccleston was just finishing a gig at his local nightclub. The name of this club was the Blues Club. Isaac was a well-versed jazz guitarist who filled in for local bands every Tuesday and Thursday. But, unfortunately for Isaac, he chose the wrong Thursday. That night, Isaac took the back exit out of the club and happened to stumble into a drug deal. In a panic, one of the men stabbed Isaac with a knife, delivering a near-fatal wound to Isaac. But however, it wasn't enough to kill him right away. That night, Isaac was supposed to meet his fiancée Morgan at the Tierra Street Cemetery a couple blocks away. Well, Isaac wasn't going to bleed out before he could keep his promise. So he crawled all the way to the cemetery, leaving a trail of blood behind him. Shocked and surprised at the state and condition of her fiancé, Morgan rushed to his aid, but all Isaac had left was to give his final words. "I swear to you, my love, that I will take vengeance on those men for what they have done, and all men for the evil and sin they commit. And it shall not be a kind death. Men like that do not deserve to have even a shred of a soul. And they must be stopped. I love you, Morgan. I know that you will be all you can be. And I know you will make the most out of your life, Morgan. I love..." And those were his last words. Isaac was no longer among the living. Now they say not long after, there were reports of a strange axe murderer, where people would claim to hear strange music in the middle of the night, always classical 50s music. And then soon after, the sounds of faint cries in the night. It is said that, from what police reports indicate, that Isaac would appear shortly after the music is played, and it can be heard getting louder and louder as he slowly approaches his victim in the darkness. And then they would pass out upon their first glance of him. The victims would wake up unable to move, for all of their limbs had been chopped off with a hatchet. No arms, no way to run. Of course, because you can't run without legs. And they couldn't scream because they were in a state of shock. Who wouldn't be? The final part of Isaac's ritual was to chop the head off his victim and reach down the hole in his neck to remove the tainted soul from their body. Then, of course, once he had his trophy, he would disappear mysteriously, and police had no idea how to find him. And they still, to this day, haven't found him. Now, it's the modern day, but people talk, and Isaac's story has not vanished from history. Just yet. In fact, like teenagers find a game to play. These days, you know, along the lines of Bloody Mary, Baby Blue, Blue Baby, and they like to scare themselves in the dead of the night. Well, I've got another game for you. This game is called Isaac Solis, Steal My Soul. I will tell you, but I encourage you to avoid playing this game to any degree, because the consequences of these actions could prove fatal. First, go to your bathroom, but make sure to bring a candle, as it will be dark, and of course, also bring a CD player or a cell phone, anything you can use to play music, as you will need a classic 50s track playing quietly in the background. The next step is to ensure you have a candle and are standing behind the shower curtain or some kind of way to block the view when you're in the shower, to the point where you cannot see what is on the other side. Scared? Don't worry. You can play with your friends. Isaac has no limit to the amount of souls he can steal. Once you are in place, simply say, "Isaac Solis, steal my soul," 6 times at a normal rate. And when you're ready to pull back the curtain, if you want to give it some time, by all means, wait as long as you like. The living dead have all the time in the world. But once you have chanted the magical words, your soul will be judged. Once you pull back the curtain, your soul will be judged as guilty of sin or not guilty of sin. And if your soul is pure, you will see an empty bathroom. When you pull back the curtain, however, if you're guilty, you will suffer the same fate as those before you. Well, I hope that this story has intrigued you, at the very least, and don't worry about the game, it's just a little something I made up to scare you. Or is it? Go ahead. Turn out the lights. Grab a candle and see for yourself. Will you be judged guilty or not guilty?